Yo, what is good, YouTube? In today's video, I'm giving you guys the new top 5 meta loadouts you need to be using. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like for the algorithm, subscribe with notifications turned on, and let's get into it. All right, so for our first gun here today, we're going to be using the Cypher 91. This is pretty much like your #1 best overall AR you guys can use. Really fun. There's some real close competitors to it, but overall this is amazing, and I'm going to give you guys my favorite setup to run on this thing. And by the way, for you guys that want to run my exact perk package that I run Mountaineer, Quick Fix, and Tempered, along with Overkill and a Stim Shot and a Throwing Knife. But let's get into it here and show you guys exactly what to use. First thing in the optics section, I'm going to tell you there's a variety of things you can use, but basically we have the Kepler Microflex, we have of course this Volzinski Reflex, we have the Accused Spot Reflex, which is really good as well. And then you can move in here to kind of get into a little bit more magnification with the Kepler Red Dot. Not my personal favorite on this gun anymore. And then also down here, some really good options. The Jason Armory 2X and the Willis 3x both help with your overall recoil kick, as you can see by the pros. So these are great options for longer distance. But if you don't want to run one of these, my personal favorite right now is going to be actually this Volzinski Reflex, or however you want to pronounce this thing. Basically, this reflex right here is my favorite overall. It says it doesn't help with your overall recoil control, but I almost want to beg to differ because the recoil feels almost non-existent when I run this reflex sight on it. So I really enjoy this one. This is my favorite right now that I've been running, and you guys have probably seen it in some of my gameplays. It's really good, and I recommend for you guys to go for this, or like I said, the Jason Armory or the Willis 3x. Muzzle section, we're gonna go in here and throw on the compensator. This is just gonna help us out the overall recoil control. Well, basically vertical recoil control, not overall, but it does, it does the Lord's work here in helping you be more accurate at range. So you guys definitely want to go ahead and use this thing. There's no other reason to use like the suppressor, muzzle brake, porta compensator. None of these are going to be good for overall extended automatic fire, and the compensator is essentially the only thing in here that's going to help you out with that. Barrel section, we're gonna go and we're gonna use this very first barrel in here, the Gain Twist barrel, just because our damage range is 45.7 meters. That's not like, statistically the absolute greatest in the world, but overall the damage profile on this gun is actually amazing, so you don't really have to worry about that too much. And your bullet velocity being 1134 meters a second is right where you want it to be, at the very kind of like the top end of where most competitive guns would be anyways. Like most guns, you're probably gonna run the Reinforce or the Gain Twist, and at that point you're going to reach out to about that 1100 mark, which is awesome. So this right here is going to make you the most competitive you could possibly can be when using the Cypher 91. So I'd recommend for exclusive use of the Gain Twist barrel. Underbarrel section, we're going to go throw in that vertical foregrip here, pretty standard. You just want to run this. It helps your overall horizontal recoil control. No reason to run anything else. It's not like it was the XM4, for instance, where there is a stock that would help with its overall recoil control. And by the way, don't really recommend to use the XM4, not that great anymore. Lastly, in the magazine section, we're gonna go throw on extended mag 2 to give us 60 rounds in the mag. It is what it is. I'm a 60 round mag kind of guy. This is the best way to run this gun. I don't care if you're playing solos, duos, trios, or quads, you should be running the 60 round mag on this gun. So this right here is my full build for the Cypher 91. Thanks to U4GM for sponsoring this video. They're a professional Black Ops 6 service provider that specializes in cheap gift packs up to 50% off. They also specialize in easy camo unlocks and max level, along with bot lobbies, and you can even use code Chuck at checkout for 5% off. Next up, I'm going to give you guys a build here for the Lockman Shroud. This might catch some of you off guard, but this right here has got wonderful mobility. The TTK is fantastic. It's just like overall a fantastic SMG to use that I don't think people are using. I dropped like almost a 50 kill game with this. I dropped like another 40 with it. I mean, this is for real a really good SMG, and probably the best MW2 SMG you can possibly use. But to make this thing actually good, don't confuse this with the Lockman Sub. This is the Lockman Shroud, and the first thing we're gonna do is throw on the aftermarket part, the Jack Decimator, which turns this from a 3-round burst or a burst SMG to a fully automatic SMG. You have to run this. If you don't have this, then the entire thing does not matter. You have to go ahead and run that. So after that, it's an integrated suppressor, so we don't have to worry about any of that. We can actually skip the optic, the barrel, and go straight to the underbarrel section, and we're gonna use pretty much my favorite option in here, but I'll show you guys one that's really good, which is essentially this first one right here, the XRK Edge. This is a really solid underbarrel here between this, was it the DR6 hand stop and the FTAC MSP 98. They all do the same exact thing. So you're not going to get more benefit from using these, this one, or scrolling all the way down and find one of those other ones. doesn't matter. They dumb down the attachments so that they do the same thing. So it's a visual preference at the end of the day for those three. Now, what I'm going to be suggesting for you guys to use is actually down here a little bit, and that's the Jack Slash, because this gives us that movement speed, sprint speed, and vertical recoil control, which is absolutely crucial here in making this gun feel really, really good. I do enjoy this quite a bit. I don't know why it says it negatively impacts the hipfire spread. I thought my hipfire accuracy was incredible while using this gun, so I'm not really sure how that works that much, but I didn't feel any sort of downside when using that, but the Jack Slash is the move. After that magazine section, I personally run the 40 round mag on this, but you can go for the 50. You will just be a little bit slower. You can see there's basically only reload quickness as a con here for the 40, and then there is a bunch of more cons here with movement speed, ADS speed, reload quickness, and sprint to fire speed when using the 50. I want it to be a little bit faster, and overall, I just like the 40. I think it reloads great. 40 rounds is perfectly fine for this specific SMG, so I'd rather go for this. Not sure why I was so far off the screen. Now, after that, we're gonna go into the stock section, and we're gonna go ahead and use the FT mobile stock. And what this does is this gives us aiming idle sway, ADS speed, and crouch movement speed. The only reason we're using this, just to keep it a full buck with you guys, is that there's really not anything else on this gun that's going to be that much more worthwhile using, you know, because we still have one other attachment slot to fill, and we're not using a barrel, we're not using, you know, obviously a muzzle because it's got a built-in suppressor, so we're not like using anything else, or not, it's nothing that's going to be worth it. So we're going to use either the FT mobile, or if you want more mobility at the cost of recoil control, the LM stockless mod. So this will be great for a lot of you guys that want to have just, you know, a lot more movement capability. But overall, I thought this was moving great when I was using it. You can check out my previous video. This is just great right here, so I like this quite a bit. And lastly, in the laser section, just because, like I said, we don't have any other options really that are worthwhile using, we're gonna go for the very first one here, because I mean, this is the Kimura RYL33 laser light, aim locking steadiness, tack stand spread, sprint to fire speed, and aim down sight speed. You can see we got the 2 and 3 arrows for pretty much everything, and the only downside is that the laser is visible upon ADS. I don't really care, I'm in people's faces anyways, so I'd rather go for this. There's nothing really else in here that I'd say is going to be like better, so I just go for this. You don't got to worry about that laser freaking out nobody. You're going to be using this at close range, and you're not corner camping, you know, ADS, so don't do that. Don't play like that. Go ahead and use this and be super aggressive, and this right here will be an incredible build for you guys. All right, next up to give you guys a competitor to the Cypher. That's going to be the Ames 85. This is a great AR to use. Higher fire rate, can have very, very little recoil as well. And we're gonna go straight into the optics section. I'm not gonna explain it like I did for the Cypher, because the same exact optic, you know, parameters apply to essentially every single AR, so I don't want to explain all that again. But basically on this one, I'm using the same exact thing. I basically moved exclusively over to using the Volzinski Reflex, or I'm using, you know, that Jason Armory or the Willis 3 times. So basically, I'm not going to be using anything else besides like one of these 3 optics right now. So go ahead and run this. This would be my sort of choice when I'm running this gun right now. Muzzle, we're going to go throw on that compensator here as per usual. It helps the most with vertical recoil control, so you guys definitely want to go ahead and run that. It just makes the most amount of sense. Barrel section, we're throwing on that gain twist barrel, just increase that overall bullet velocity. You guys can see your damage effective range is 50.8 meters, which is awesome. So that is exactly what you want already. No reason to go ahead and increase it. We care just more about getting our bullet velocity out there. And you can see it reaches almost 1100 meters a second, so it's right up there with the Cypher 91. Obviously not exactly as much, and the damage is not the, you know, as much as the Cypher, but it's still right up there. And because that fire rate, you can actually get away with having a slightly little bit less damage. But overall bullet velocity, that's what we care about, and we want the gain twist. On a barrel, we're gonna go down here and throw on the vertical foregrip here. So go ahead and throw that bad boy on there. It's just gonna do the most for this gun. And then lastly, magazine, we throw on extended mag 2 just to get us 60 rounds in the mag. Pretty standard, pretty tried, true, and simple. No need to, you know, mix something up. You know, you don't gotta break something, or you don't gotta fix something, but it's not broken. That's what I was trying to say. But this right here is the prime build for the Ames. Next up, I'll give you guys a build here for the Compact 92. This is a wonderful SMG. This thing is actually Got one of the fastest TTKs at close range. You guys can for real fry with this thing. So we're gonna go straight in here. Actually, I believe it's the barrel section, and we're gonna go all the way down to the very bottom to throw on the integrated suppressor barrel. The reason we do this because, I mean, look at this. Our damage at effective range is 15.2 meters. We got an integrated suppressor. We get, you know, bullet velocity and damage range. We're not gonna be on the radar, and we don't really have that much of a difference between the long barrel option, which is going to push out our damage range to the max. This gets us to 15.8. So it's 0.6 meters difference between the long barrel and the integrated suppressor barrel with more benefits and a suppressor. So I'm just going to go ahead and run this because it doesn't really matter. You're not going to notice that 0.6 meters. It really is not going to make a difference. So you might as well go get the essential like 3-for-1 attachment, damage range, bullet velocity, suppressor. Go ahead and get all that instead of just running the long barrel. Underbarrel section, we're gonna go throw on the Ranger foregrip here. Helps our horizontal recoil control and our sprinting movement speed. It's doing exactly what we want it to, so you guys definitely want to go ahead and run that. I don't really recommend the vertical foregrip here. It's not going to do really anything more than the Ranger. You can see the horizontal recoil is still at the 2 sort of arrows, and also I like the sprinting movement speed. It is an SMG. It's why I run around with it out so I can move faster, not to just kind of have better recoil control. Magazine, we're gonna go down here and throw an extended mag 2, not extended mag 3. So I'm a 60 round mag kind of guy, but overall I think it slows you down too much having extended mag 3 on there. I'm not a fan of that. I like having extended mag 2. 50 rounds is perfectly fine in the magazine to me. Like basically when you get out past that 40, 45 for an SMG, like that's really what you care about. And so now that I'm at 50, I don't really care about getting to 60 because I get a lot more cons with it, so I don't like that. So just go and throw on that, and you guys will be taken care of. Rear grip, we're gonna go throw on that ergonomic grip, slide to fire, dive to fire, ADS speed, pretty much all the things you want. These are huge factors in making an SMG actually good, especially slide to fire. Considering we are sliding around quite a bit, it does, you know, have an impact on how fast you're able to slide and bring your gun up. And of course, what that goes hand in hand with that is ADS speed. So I'd recommend for you guys to go through this over any other rear grip attachment. And lastly, in the stock section, I've ran it a few ways. First one being the no stock. This actually works perfectly fine. So if you guys want to go for the no stock, you can do that. Of course, there's no recoil cons. So pretty neat. You guys can go ahead and run that if you want to. Another great one is the infiltrator stock. I personally don't use this one. What I go for is the balance stock, as I want a little bit of kind of everything. And this right here, between this and the no stock, is pretty much like my go-to options on this. So go ahead and run the balance stock or the no stock, and you can try the infiltrator technically, but I'm not as big of a fan of it. I'd much rather have these other pros as opposed to only aim walking movement speed. So balanced or no stock, and this right here is your full compact 92 build. And now finally, I want to give you guys a build here for the Kar 90 AK. This is kind of like my go-to sniper. I always run this, especially playing, you know, Resurgence. It just seems to be kind of everybody's go-to, maybe apart from like the LW3, but otherwise I think this is kind of like the go-to. Everyone's got it leveled up. It's great. So optics section, what we're gonna go in here and do is I'm gonna scroll down. It's the 23rd optic for me, the SPX 86.6X. So I believe this to be the best one to use. Apart from, you can go all the way down here to the very bottom and use also the range collar V3.4. This is the 7x. This is the exact sort of OG Kar 90 AK, but it's got that weird, when like you zoom in, it's like the weird black shadow around it, kind of like when it moves around. I don't like how it kind of obstructs your view, so I just kind of don't go for that. I just go back in here and I just use the SPX, and I find that to be great because I don't get that sort of effect, and it's a beautiful crosshair, which I don't have to worry about. So overall, it's great. And that 6.6, it's like if I have to use an 11 times magnification on it, maybe they're a little bit too far for me to start getting some real good Kar 90 AK kills. This is more of an aggressive sniper, not like a sit back and camp type sniper. If you want to do something like that, maybe you should be using like the Cat AMR or something that's a little bit more heavy duty, because that's like essentially like a Barrett 50 cal. Like that's pretty heavy duty. Now we're gonna go into the muzzle section. We're gonna go ahead and throw on pretty much a suppressor of choice. They're going to be down here a little bit, and what I go for is the Sonic Suppressor L. It's what we essentially ran before, but basically between all these suppressors here, you can tell the pros don't change, and that is because they dumbed them all down. They dumbed a lot of the MW3 attachments down, so between any of these suppressors here that are on screen, you can't go wrong. It is a visual thing for you guys at the end of the day between these, but this is going to be what you should be running. You want these exact pros on your attachment, so don't go run something else, you know, like, you know, this like compensator here. Don't want to do that. You have to go for one of these suppressors. So I go for the Sonic Suppressor L, and I'll leave it at that. Barrel section, of course, we got to use the 7.62 long barrel, increasing out our bullet velocity and range. You can see right now, our damage at effective range is 58.4 meters. You can see our one-shot potential is going to be the headshot at 300 damage, up to essentially would be that 58.4 meters. That is what it's at right now. If we choose this, I'm not sure if that's actually updated. Yeah, so if we choose this, that's going to be updated right now at 58.4, but we're still going to extend it out more. Don't worry, it's still going to get up to about 70, which is really nice, and which perfect for resurgence style play or aggressive sniper play. After that, we're going to go to the underbarrel section and speed this thing up, and we're going to use the very first thing in here, the XRK Edge. Don't need anything else. ADS speed, sprint to fire speed helps you be more aggressive, and you could probably substitute out this attachment for something else if you really want to. Overall, I'm just choosing to speed up the sniper, as this is going to kind of fall in line with my style of play. So I'd prefer to go ahead and use that. Lastly, we're going to go to the ammunition side of things, and we're going to go all the way down in here, and we're going to use the high grain rounds, and not to be confused with high velocity, anything else like that. You have to go for the high grain rounds here, the second from the bottom. Bullet velocity and damage range puts you out to 67.1 meters. Hits your bullet velocity out to 900 meters a second. Obviously, we'd prefer it to be over like 1,000, something like that, but of course they did some nerfs and stuff, so it does make it a little less effective than it used to be in MW3. It probably was by far the best sniper in MW3 Warzone. Now we have a lot of options, which is definitely a good thing, but this is still my personal favorite. So go ahead and run this. That's going to be your full build. That's been my top 5. You guys enjoyed it, give it a like, subscribe, check out this other video on screen, and I'll see you all next time.